Oh, good afternoon, my Teaser King family. Apologize for being on so late, but I didn't have internet until noon, and so I went to the pool first, and now then I went to get lunch, and now I'm doing class. So it'll be a late one, but baseball doesn't start till 4 o'clock, so we're good. All right. So we start with gold, of course, and gold ain't doing anything. 41.21. At least it's staying over 4,000 and over 41 mostly. It'll drop a little bit and then it comes back, and but we're not getting anywhere near where we should. Silver 61.72. I don't know what this is about. It's down $3 today. Why? I could understand somebody selling gold because they got to buy oil and that, and even that I don't understand. Why silver down? The dollar's stronger versus bullshit currencies, and the dollar's currency, it sucks anyway, but let's knock silver down. Even for the military, they don't really need it this low to buy the silver if they can even find it. China's doing all the buying, and they're not doing any selling, and it's just you just sit there and you scratch your head like, why is silver going down? Obviously the government wants it, so they keep the price down, so you'll sell it and off you go. But I still haven't sold my ounce of gold yet. I'm waiting to do that, but right now, the ounce of gold is not. It's not staying with us. It's sitting there at $50. It's staying there at 41, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going up. It's not going down. Um, One thing I did when I go to my guy's store, so Alyssa gave me two earrings. Well, she gave me a ring. I went to my guy and he gave me like $80 for it. Okay, there you go. Then she gave me some earrings. So I went to my guy and he couldn't identify if they were gold. They actually were 14 karat gold. So I go to very expensive jewelry store, Tappers, which is a high end jewelry store. He says, yeah, it's 14 karat gold. And he wants to give me $45 for it. And I said, well, I got a $50 offer, but just wanted to make sure. And he said, oh, I can give you 50. But he made me put my thumbprint in and my driver's license, which I didn't like at all. I don't do that at my guy, and I do not recommend that. Then I don't need a 1099. He just digitized me between the thumbprint and the and my ID that I sold a $50 earring. Fortunately, obviously it wasn't mine, but it's a small amount. But I won't never go back there to sell anything. Plus, they don't really sell gold coins. I said, well, what do you buy gold coins for? He says 85%. I go, I know I can get 98 at Ann Arbor, and I guarantee you they're not going to fingerprint me or ask for my license. So I didn't really like that. But my guy couldn't identify it. He looked with his microscope and he's like, you know, there's, and he couldn't see it. And I tested it and he put some like liquid on there and he put the earring on it and it came back that it was gold. And apparently it was 14 karat gold. Okay. But he tried to lowball me because she had gotten another one for $50 at a freaking pawn shop. So it's got to be worth more than 50 because the pawn shops can sell it unless he was just interested in buying gold. but he gave her 50, and here this guy wanted to do like 45. Well, it's 14 karat. And I said, well, I can get 50. I'm not going to take 45, but I didn't know I'd have to do a thumbprint and that. So be careful on that. I wouldn't do that. Again, I won't sell them any of my gold because I can get 98%, they're 85%. So they're not looking to sell physical gold. I was going to tell them you should, I guess if they do get it, they can go sell it, pay 85 for it and go sell it for 98, which is probably what they do there. I don't know why they don't sell physical gold, but it seems kind of strange because it's really high end diamonds and jewels and stuff like that there. Anyway, so again, we got 40-20 gold and 61-68 silver. I don't get silver. I mean, it was just 88, and then it goes, okay, 71, 72, okay. Even last week it was 70, and I bought an ounce for 72, and now it's sitting at 61. A lot with that Jane Street, who's just bullshit. They're just a middleman. So they're buying, but they're really not completing the trade. I think they'll kick them off because that's not the intent. COMEX, there's got to be a trade. There's got to be somebody. You're going to short it, somebody's got to buy it. Not a middleman. A middleman makes the market liquid, but that's not what we want here. We want somebody to buy the option and then ask for delivery. So Jane Street just, I don't even know what they're doing. They're buying it, but they've got to end the contract. They can't. This is options, not stocks. They can't just hold it and then nothing happens, right? Somebody has to buy and somebody has to sell. So right now, Jane Street is actually the buyer of the shorts. Only since they're a middleman, well, so what happens? I mean, you got to, well, we're waiting until somebody buys it. No, not in this. This is not stock. This has to be a buyer and a seller. It's like you go to a grocery store and, they're selling steak for $20 and Jane Street comes in and buys 50 of them. But they don't really buy them. We're just holding them. And then when 50 people want steaks, we'll sell it to them. No. There's no middleman. I go in, I buy, or I sell. That's it. So really strange. Let's go into baseball. Well, let's look at the stock market. As long as I'm, pardon me, a little tired. And it's up $10 at 51,722. Talk about, for you guys like talking, are the games fixed? This is a fixed game. 51,722 is a joke. I saw Bitcoin earlier. Since I went to work out, since I didn't have internet, I saw they had like Fox or CNBC on, and it was like 61,000. Now, all right, so that's what's happening there. Now, let's look at baseball. Talking about fixed games, was our White Sox game fixed? The one Dee Barton pitched and has a 3-1 lead, and he gets pulled after 6 innings, and then they lose 5-4 in 10 innings. Was that a fixed game? Because if you think about it, why did he take him out? He had command. It was 3-1. He's got the bottom of the lineup in. And he needs him to pitch to the meat of the order. And so he needed him to pitch the 7th and the 8th innings. He only had 77 pitches. And that's where you fix the game, right? We know the Tiger manager's a cheater. He cheated in this, he cheated in the World Series. Right? Clearly, they were doing curveballs or whatever, hitting garbage cans. So who do you think did it? That was him. And then he lies about it. Oh, I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, sure. You're the manager of the team. You don't know anything about it. I guarantee you he knows everything going on with the Tigers. So we know the guy's a cheater. We know the guy's a liar. Although this is the White Sox guy I'm talking about. So here's the White Sox. There's no explanation. He took him out after 6 innings with 75 pitches. Your ace, Dean Martin. Um, just food for thought, because you see that a lot where the pitcher, and maybe the Milwaukee manager is trying to do that with Mazeroski. I showed you that the other day where he didn't want to come out. Why is the manager pulling him? Is that a fix? Maybe you bet the over under in the game. He can't. You got to get Mazeroski. Why don't you just bet the under then and leave Mazeroski in for 100, like they do with whatchamacallit now with the Scanes. Goes 105 pitches to pitch 6 innings. All right. So let's look at yesterday's baseball. We got the Tigers 5-3 over the Yankees. We had the Yankees because we had Garrett Cole against Valdez, and Valdez stinks. And Cole, it was 5-3. He gave up 3 or 4 runs. It was surprising. The Tigers hit him pretty good. I was shocked by that score. KC 2-1. I had Tampa. They had their ace going, and he pitched fine. They didn't hit. So I don't know what's going on with Tampa. They can't hit. Texas and Miami. Texas wins 4-3. Very tired. Sorry. I didn't play the game. Texas wins 4-3. Miami doesn't hit. Washington 4, Philly 1. I thought I lost that one, and then I looked, and I didn't play the game. Washington wins 4-1. Where was the hitting for Philly? Let's take a look at who shut out Philly here. And it was a guy named Meza with a 3.15 ERA for Philly. Pitched an inning. That's why we didn't bet it. It was bullpen day. Then this Rango comes in with 5 innings, a 2.25 ERA. Johnson with 1 inning with an 8 ERA gives up 2 runs. Why do they put these guys out there with 7, 8, 10 ERAs? What, are you kidding me? These are professionals. And then Shugart gives up nothing in the 9th, in the 8th. Washington, F. Griffin, 3.15 ERA, 7 innings. Where's the pitch count? 105 pitches and 4 hits and 1 run. 105 pitches, and he just stones them. They get 1 run on him. Lovelady and Beater, decent years. So let's mark down Griffin. Washington, low ERA. So that was well done. I mean, you beat Philly, which is hard to do. So we made a note of it. All right. Toronto, Houston. This was our free play. We went Houston under 7. It was Hunter Brown against Dylan Cease, and we got exactly what we wanted. The total on the game was 7. That was your free play. Go under 7, and Toronto wins 4-2, which is under 7. And that was a good matchup. Hunter Brown, Dylan Cease. And that's what you do with it. You can't really spot the winner with 2 guys like that. You can't bet against Hunter Brown, nor would you want to bet against Dylan Cease. So that's how you take advantage when they play each other. What you do, you just go under with it, as we did with Mazeroski. Milwaukee 2, Cincinnati 1. I didn't play that. Must have been bullpen day there. The White Sox 6, Cleveland 5. We have Cleveland over 7.5. I thought that line was way too low with the pitchers that they had. When you see a 7.5 and you got pitchers with 4 ERAs, that's a 9 or so. So we got an 11. That was a winner. We play the Dodgers over 9.5. They win 2-1. Something funny there. I mean, it was 9.5, and they play a 2-1 game. St. Louis, Arizona. We played St. Louis. We won 3-2. Liberatore, I think, pitched. We got Boston, Colorado. We don't play this. Colorado wins 3-2 over Boston. Again, Colorado, the total on the game is 11.5. They didn't come close. They play a little better, and they don't score 100 runs a game. Baltimore, California. We have Baltimore in the game. They win 6-1. Excuse me. And our last game, San Diego won, Atlanta nothing. We have Atlanta over 7.5, and this, with these pitchers, was not a 1-0 game. So tired. So I took some medication for my foot's bothering me. So we lose the Yankees and we lose Tampa, and then we win the Houston under 7. We win the Cleveland over 7, so we're even. We lose the Dodgers over 9. We win St. Louis, so we're even. We win Baltimore, and then we lose Atlanta over 7. So we're even. One game we had was the Jets is over 8.5, and they got postponed. So we go dead, 4-4, even. No wins, no losses, so that's okay. When you lose the Yankee, what the fuck? The Tigers are now beating Garrett Cole. I mean, this is crazy. So they're starting to play a little bit better. I didn't like what they did with Dean Martin, where Dean had him 3-1. They shouldn't have lost that game. All right, let's go to today. Your free pick is the Cubbies over 8.5, and this is 3 units. Let's go to the Cubbies first. We got Cabrera for the Cubs. We got this is dead even at 104, total 8.5. We got Cabrera for the Cubs with the 5.24 ERA, goes against Senga, the Mr. Fuji guy for the Mets with the 9 ERA. So it's 5 ERA against 9, and both teams can hit. And so go over 8.5. We got 2 shit pitchers, and I think it should be 10 or so. We don't have to worry about the win. It's in New York, not in the Cubs. All right, Houston, Toronto. We got Toronto minus 128.5. Jack Lambert, 3.23 ERA against Bieber, who is he's not even pitched this year. So we have no idea who Bieber is. Lambert, okay, likes playing middle linebacker, 3.23. Toronto 112.20. I don't know how you bet Toronto with this guy. We don't even know who he is. And Jack Lambert, you don't want to get him mad at you. So this is, I got nothing on that game. Seattle Pitt, Seattle 123, 8.5. We got General Kirby, 4.10 ERA against Mitch Keller, 4.94 ERA. I've already gone through this because I had to email the picks out to the buyers because it was so late. Again, my day was totally screwed up. Ran to the bank, ran to the grocery store, ran to the to a gold store and a jewelry store. So it was a lot of fun today. Anyway, and we ran to the pool, and now I'm back. So it's just everything's reversed. My foot's hurting, so I took my pills, which tired me out a little bit. So Kirby and Keller, 4 ERA against the 5 ERA, and the total is 8.5. And we know Pitt scores a lot of runs. KC at Tampa. Tampa minus 183.8. Avila 7.58 against McClanahan, 3.56 for Tampa. I did not play this game. I did think about taking Tampa with McClanahan. They just aren't hitting. In Kansas City, it's probably an under until you look at Avila. And the guy's from Venezuela, so he's into the oil game. And he's given up 3-1-1-8-1. I think I put week 1 of the NFL. We're going to go through that. I was able to get my stats as promised. So I took the last 5 games of last year for offense and defense, popped them in, and we'll go through that when we're done with baseball. I can hardly wait. Yankees at Detroit. Yankees minus 110-8. We got Rodon, who's pitching very well, 3.50 against Casey Mize, who's win some, lose one, a 2.60 ERA for Detroit. 5-3 game yesterday. So probably promises to be lower scoring. The Tigers, they don't hit the good, like they won't hit Rodon, and they didn't hit Dean Martin. And then the bullpen comes in, and they hit the bullpen. And the bullpen just, they just throw the ball right down the middle. It doesn't do anything, and they hit a home run. And everybody, oh, look how good he was. Look at that hit. He hit nobody. He hit a high school pitcher who threw the ball right down the middle. All right, Texas, Miami. Miami minus 154-8. Quantrill for Texas. Is a bullpen guy against Sandy Alcantara, who's been playing pretty well, a 4.19 ERA. And I'm going to watch this game. It's hard because we don't know Quantrill. He's one of these bullpen guys. You don't know who you're going to get after the first inning. So it's very difficult to make these bets. Philly, Washington. As I said, Washington won yesterday 4-1. Look out for Philly. 163, 8.5. Luzardio, 4.24 ERA against Zach Littell with a 6.35 ERA. So my guess is either a Philly or an over, because you're not going to shut down Philly 2 games in a row, especially with Littell, a right-hander, and they got the bulk is left-handed. So if you got a righty, they got blood running out of their mouths, drooling. Luzardio has been pitching pretty well lately. The Cubs and the Mets I gave you go over 8.5. Bon appetit. Milwaukee, Cincinnati. Cincinnati 105, Milwaukee 103. Total 9.5. Sprout for Milwaukee 5.95 against Lodolo with a 6.21. We got a couple of pigs going there. Yicky Poozy. It looks bad in the paper market. Silver is probably going lower than 50. Well, I don't know, but we don't really have to sell. I just saw it was 61, I think. Well, let's take a look at it. Again, it's paper. Again, it's this Jamestown bullshit where they're acting as the middleman. It's 61.46. I don't think it goes much lower. I don't know where you're getting 50 from. And then gold. Yeah, these are just bullshit paper. We eyeball them. Like, I need to sell an ounce of gold, and it's frustrating because I want to sell the fucking thing already. I'd like to get 5,000 for it only because I have to get some cash in, but I don't, I have another month to get to the 40. I got enough that I should be able to pay July's off without selling an ounce of gold. But I don't know about the $50 silver, and I don't know how long it'll be. We'll see what's going on July 4th. Trump and the trumpeters. I've never seen a more corrupt bunch of liars in my life than these governments. I'm starting to see ads for like some woman running for Congress or Senate, and I just throw up. I'm like, oh, you want to get the kickbacks from the defense contractors? That's why you're running. I mean, what else? Why else would you run? They won't let this war end in Israel, which is costly, and everything else. Now, let me finish up baseball, and then we will. Let me finish up baseball, then we'll talk about that. But yeah, again, you're talking paper. So I really wouldn't worry about it. It's a great buying opportunity if silver goes into the 50s. I don't really think it will because China and Russia are buying the shit out of it. And if Jamestown wants to be the middleman, China and Russia are going to go and say, we want to take delivery. And what's Jamestown going to do then? Because they don't have it and they can't get it. So this will be interesting. There's no reason for a middleman like you have in stocks in this, just so people can short it. But you have to have a buyer. You can't just sell it to a middleman. You have to sell it to a buyer who then will take delivery. This is ridiculous. So I think this won't last long. But it's just down again. I think it's part of the U.S. is broke, and that's it. And that's why that's what people don't understand. Wars bankrupt countries. Rome, Italy, Rome and Italy. Rome, Germany, World War I, bankrupted France, England, and that. The French wars in the 1790s bankrupted them. Napoleon, they got bankrupted Waterloo, trying to steal their oil. British came on in 1814 because they had gold. So the teams with gold are the Alabamas. They're the number ones. And the teams who get out of the gold and get into paper to pay for their wars all end up broke. So basically, when a country does this, they're bankrupt. We are bankrupt. England went bankrupt. France went bankrupt. Russia's, they're bankrupt anyway. But the teams with the gold win. And that's really what you got to understand. And the reason that the U.S. is going out, we're bankrupt. It's as simple as we have no money. Our money's worthless. We can print more. It's still worthless. And do not buy stablecoin. Stablecoin is worthless. It's not backed by anything. So keep that in mind. All right. Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and then we'll get more into economics. Cincinnati 105. 9.5. Sprout 5.95 against Lodolo for Cincinnati. And they're both very high ERA pitchers. Cleveland minus 111.7 to the White Sox. Messick 2.72 for Cleveland. Burke 4.82 for the White Sox. I didn't play this game. Messick is kind of fooling. He's got a 2.72 ERA, but he really, on one hand, but on the other hand, he's given up shutout, 1 run, 3.52. So he's given up a little bit of runs, although he's capable of the shutout. And Burke with the 4.82 ERA. And he's given up 2-1, 3-4-1. But he goes 4 and 5 innings. 7-inning games he pitched. He gave up 2 runs and 1. But then a 4-inning game, he gave up 4 and 3. So it's just really bad. They're all like 90 pitch counts. So you don't know really what you're getting from Burke. It's not an automatic take Messick. It's not an automatic overplay of 7. And it's really not an underplay of 7. The Dodgers, Minnesota beat them yesterday. The Dodgers, they have games. They just play like pigs. They got 7 hitters, and yet none of them get hits. We got the Dodgers 172-9, and then they play a big game and they win 12-0. Right, then everybody hits. Wroblewski 2.52 ERA against Cookie Rojas with a 0 ERA. From Cuba. They got the Cuban cigars out there. He's just a bullpen guy. He goes about 45 pitches, 2 innings, 3 innings, gives up a couple of runs. 1.26 ERA, but he's only pitched in 5 games. So I don't know. He says he's 23, but it's like Louis Tiant. He's like 40. You never know what their age is. So Rojas, okay, he's Cuban, so we like that. Much better than Japan players. And then Robleski with the 2.52. So it's a tough one. It could go under 9, uh, but we don't know enough about Cookie Rojas here, except for he's from Cuba. It's funny how they're a broke country, they're a communist country, but for some reason they know how to play baseball or they know how to box, like Teofilo Stevenson. It's like Russia, poor country, broke country, but they can all play hockey. It's pretty funny. All right. Arizona goes to St. Louis. St. Louis 109, 8.5. E. Rodriguez, who is a pretty good pitcher, 2.45 ERA against Ken Leahy from Notre Dame, 4.63. And this Rodriguez is a pretty good pitcher. So it's hard to go over or under. You got a decent pitcher and you got a kind of a weaker pitcher. Boston goes to Colorado. Boston 154, 10.5. Sonny Gray, 3.13 ERAs, pitching well against S. Sullivan with a 10.29. He's pitched in 2 games. So the problem is you really don't know. Sullivan actually threw a shutout in his first game and gave up like 8 runs in the second game, and that's where you get in this 10.29 from. So really hard to say. So Gray with the 3.1. So it's hard. I had played Boston initially, and then I didn't. I took him off because I don't have enough data on Sullivan. And Sonny Gray is pretty good, but it's at Colorado. And again, we have a 10.5 total, of which I have no idea if we'll get there or not. This could be a 3-1 game. It could be 15-14. Baltimore goes to California. Baltimore minus 135 and 9. Shane Baz 4.04 against Ron Johnson from Michigan, 12.38. He played running back in the 70s. I did play this game. Baz with the 4.04. Last 5 gave up 7 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 innings, 3 runs. So it looks like he's either getting tired, they're figuring out how to hit him. So I figured 3 or 4 runs. That's in 5 innings. Ron Johnson, Michigan tailback, pitched in 5 games. He's lost all 5. And he's given up 3 innings, 6 runs, 1 inning, nothing, 2 innings, 3 runs, 2 innings, 5 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs. What is this guy doing in the major leagues? Go back to Michigan, 1970s. Not very good. We'll see, but I mean, Baltimore. I don't know. It's whatever you do with Shane Baz. Either Baltimore, or you go over. Atlanta, San Diego. Atlanta minus 108, 8.5. Richie 5.40 against Canning with a 7.30. Again, I don't get the total of 8.5. Richie and Canning, both high ERA pitchers. Atlanta, we know can hit. San Diego, we think they can hit. So I think we go, I think pretty obvious. 2 high ERA pitchers. And again, it's only 8.5, not 10 or 11. And our last game, Oakland goes to the 49ers. Stabler against Montana. Boy, that would have been a good matchup, huh? The Niners are 134 and 9. We got Chevalier 4.97 for Oakland against Robbie Ray 4.44 for the 49ers. Chevalier, his last 5. He's 4-2. Last 5. 5 innings shutout, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 innings, 7 runs, 3 innings, 6 runs. So he's starting to give up. He's starting to heat up. And then Robbie Ray, he's playing very well. He's won his last 5. And he's 4 innings, 4 runs, 4 innings, 3 runs, 5 innings shutout, 5 innings, gave up 5, and 6 innings shutout. So we had two hit shutouts, Atlanta and the Cubbies, and then Washington pounded them for 5 runs in 5 innings. So we're seeing a lot more of that. That's your baseball. Free pick. Cubbies over 8.5 with the JETSs. Namath going against Jim McMahon. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plays. I already emailed to the guy. That's why I was a little bit later. I wanted to get him to email, although there really isn't a game till 4:30, so he should be fine. So that's what we have for baseball. Not great pitchers going today, adequate ones. It's a little tough because you're looking for expected results, which you really don't have. A lot of these expected results, we know Mizorowski and Scanes, what they're going to do. You're going to watch them strike you out is what they're going to do. But when you get these middle of the road Chevaliers and what are they going to do? Who knows? And that's what makes it difficult. We can't, it's like the price of silver was 88, then it went, and then it was in the 70s, and now it's in the 60s, and you're like, what the fuck? But I don't know, Pooksy, and I know you, but I don't know that name. Where you get 50 from? There's no, you can't chart it because of bricks. There's no, well, this happened before and it's going down. It's not going down. I'm shocked it's in the 60s, but a lot of that is with Jane Street, and that's going to go. I do have a video on Vegas I want to share with you. So there's video on Vegas and the NFL. So let's do the NFL. Let's go. Gold 41.23, silver 61.69. I really don't think silver goes into the 50s. I'll be very surprised because it'll get eaten up by China. And this is paper. There's not a lot of physical left to even do it. And they'll come out. And if it does, it's just so China wants to buy, and Russia and India are buying, as much as they can get. So I don't think they want it to go down too much more. All right, NFL week 1, and I'm going to get into the juicy part with the NFL. All right, week 1. No games available. Who's this Hall of Fame game? Carolina goes to Arizona. Yeah, that'll pack them in. Everybody will watch that. It's amazing the way they think that everybody's just going to watch these crap games, like we got nothing better to do, or we can't just watch the subcap on YouTube, 2 hours after the game. Where the fuck's the odds? Will be that way. I don't want scores and odds. I guess I do. All right. I'll take it. Scores and odds, week one. Seattle 3.5 and 44.5 is the official line. My line, Seattle -3. Both teams are A teams. Now, this is the last 5 games of last year. I got New England 29-9. So that's offensive points and then defense. So they score 29, they give up 9. And again, last 5 games. And Seattle 30-17. So you got two very strong defenses. And what you got to remember, there's no more Kenneth Walker on Seattle, and you're going to get a lot more picks by Darnell. He had it easy; he could hand off. Now he's back to Darnell again. So what should looks like a pretty strong defensive battle, a 9 against the 17. The next day, we are in Australia. We got the Rams 3 and 48.5. We've got the Niners, a B team, 31 offense, 24 defense, against an over team in the Rams, 30 offense, 26 defense. That's why they got Myles Garrett. That's why they didn't make the Super Bowl. They gave up a lot of points. They played Seattle twice. And so you got a 24 defense against the 26 defense. However, the Niners drafted a bunch of defensive players. It's going to take a while, but the Rams got Myles Garrett and probably gets Aaron Donald back. Now they're not this over team. See, they scored 30, but they gave up 26 and struggled with the Bears. If the Bears had a good quarterback, they should have won the game. It was a terrible interception. Almost like it was fixed. All right. So again, we got to watch LA games in Australia, like retards. We got the Browns and the Jaguars. Excuse me. Jaguars 7.5, 40.5. I had the Jaguars by 6. We got Cleveland, an under team, 17 offense, 22 defense, versus Jacksonville, an A team with a 37 offense and a 17 defense. Again, this is last year's stats, so we have some idea of what we're looking at because you can't really change too much. Yeah, you're not bringing in a whole offensive line and you're not bringing in a whole new defense. Basically, the guys you had are what you're going to have this year. There's a couple of changes, but that's it. So Cleveland sucks. With Prime Junior, they got 17 a game. They gave up 22. So they were an under team. Jacksonville is an A team, 37-17. So we will see, although they lost their running back from Clemson. He's gone. And unfortunately, they kept whatchamacallit, they kept Trevor Lawrence instead. I was taking a dementia test. Which was the blue box. I got it. Funny how that's a way to measure dementia. All right. Tampa Bay at Cincinnati. Cincinnati 3.5, 50.5. I got Cincy -3. I didn't do totals yet. Tampa Bay, a 20 offense with the 23 defense, a pretty good team. Against Cincy, the over team, 27 offense, 24 defense. So if Cincy can get that defense under 20 with Joe Burrow, upper 20s, they'll be very tough to watch, tough to beat. That's what you look for, and that's why we do the numbers. You want to see like Seattle, 30-17. That's why they won the Super Bowl. Great offense, great defense. That's what you're looking for. So keep that in your mind. That's the team that'll win. The team with the 30 defense, aka the Lions, forget about it. So Cincinnati, probably a high scoring game here. Tampa, 23 defense isn't going to stop Chase and Burrow with the 24 defense, although they lost their best defensive player. We'll see what they got back for it. Baltimore goes to Indy to take on the Colts. Baltimore 3.5, 49.5. I don't get all these 3.5s. To me, this is a 3, as is the Cincinnati game. They're just fucking around with these 3.5s that make no sense. Baltimore, B team, 27 offense, 21 defense. Defense is the offense, 27, I thought was pretty good. India W team, 22 offense, 30 defense. Now this goes into the fold here. Indy, 30 defense. Baltimore, 27 offense. Baltimore at the 21 defense. So right off the bat, it tells me Indy's going to have a hard time with Lamar. And Lamar should have an easy time with Indy. With this 30 defense, that's not the defense that's going to bother Lamar. So this would tell me that Baltimore shouldn't do it. But again, it's week 1, and I'm using last year's. I don't have anything else, right? All right. Pittsburgh, 342.5 to Atlanta. So what we look at is Penix the quarterback? If he is, they're a very live dog. They have Bijan Robinson and Drake London, who apparently is good. And they got Trevor Lawrence. So, I am sorry. So you have Atlanta with a pretty good defense. Bijan Robinson running. Steelers with the 21 defense. Aaron Rodgers against Penix. Who knows? Could be an under game. I think Atlanta's a live dog in this one. And this is not your free pick. I don't have a free pick yet. To Houston. Buffalo minus 1.5, 45.5. Buffalo, a B team, a 26 offense with Josh Allen, but a 19 defense. Not a bad defense, although they gave up 33 to Denver. Oh, you guys who don't think Bo Nix is any good. Houston, an A team, a 30 offense with an 18 defense. But where did it go in the playoffs? Where was the 30 offense against New England? Again, CJ Stroud not understanding he's got the best defense. Let's not throw pick sixes. I couldn't believe he threw like one pick six and another fumble close to the end. He gave him 14 points. You have the best defense. Eat the ball and punt. And the coach needs to make better plays. And we're just going to punt the ball because they can't score on us. So that's what we have here. So we do have Houston as a home dog. We have a 40.5. I think that's low. Oh no, it's 45.5. I don't know how to write. 45.5 is probably an under with Houston. Almost all Houston games, you don't want to be, they're like Iowa. You don't really want to go too high. You want to probably play them under. The Bears against Carolina. The Bears 2.5, 44.5. I'm just going to call it 3. We got Caleb against Young. We got the Bears are an E team, 26 offense, 22 defense, which means they score decently, but their defense isn't great. Now they were looking to shore it up, but we don't know yet. And Carolina, an under team, 19 offense, 22 defense. So really good defense. Their offense stinks. And you'll see. I mean, we've already seen Steve Young. He really sucks. Not really that good at all. A lot of turnovers. The Bears will probably run it down their throat. What do we got? Total of 44.5. Yeah, this could be a pretty good under, but we'll see. The JETS goes to Tennessee. Tennessee 3, 39.5. The JETS are the worst team in the league. They're the Z team, 11 offensive points. They average 11 a game and giving up 38. Where have you gone, Snake Snabler? Tennessee, a W team with a 23 offense with Cam Ward and a 30 defense. So you have a 38 defense against a 30 defense. The Jets score 11 and Tennessee 23. Hard to play the Jets in any game. Maybe here you can. Total of 39.5. You can't go under in this game because you got two terrible defenses. I don't know. You can't even take the Jets as a live dog because they're probably not. All right. Detroit 7 and 48.5. And after looking at the stats, this is a total New Orleans play. New Orleans, a B team, 25 offense, 18 defense. Very strong team, 18 defense. And they can score enough. Tyler Shaw and Kellen Moore have got a pretty good offense in there. Detroit, an over team, 27 offense, 28 defense. Again, the last 5. They were luscious, the Lions. What do you take out of this? How the hell can the Lions be favored by 7 points? Oh, they're at home. Yeah, that matters. So it's really it's really a New Orleans. They're a live dog. They can win the game with a much better offense and a much better defense. So we'll see what happens. But this is definitely a New Orleans play. Arizona goes to San Diego. San Diego 11.5, 45.5. Arizona Z team, 18 offense, 37 defense. Not much there. San Diego, an under team, an 18 offense and 18 defense. They don't score. They play good defense. What do you do in this one? The 11.5 is way too high. I think the only way you can play this game's under. Arizona gives up 37, but they don't score. They're not going to score in San Diego. They'll probably get shut out. San Diego doesn't score much. 45, so that's a very high number. I definitely like the under in this game. A 50-something with Arizona, yeah, ain't going to happen. All right, you Raider fans, we got Oakland at 341.5. Now, I did like, I had Miami favorite. I liked Oakland as a home dog. Miami, a W team, 20, they scored 20 a game, give up 28. No defense. And no defense here. Oakland 12. They scored 12 a game, give up 25. Miami scores 20 a game, gives up 28. No defense. Now, Oakland drafted a lot of defense, but Max Crosby's injured. Probably never be the same. Oakland gets a whopping 12. Even with Gentry and Brock Bowers, they only scored 12 a game. And Miami only got 20, and they do not have what's him called, Tyreek Hill. He's gone. And Tagliabue, he sucked anyway. He's on Atlanta, so he gets to watch Atlanta not make the playoffs with him. I don't know. Miami, probably a live dog, getting 9. Total on the game. Oakland didn't score last year. Mendoza's not going to just come in. And Miami loses Tagliabue against Willis. So this is probably an under game. Washington and Philly. Philly 5.5, 46.5. Washington, a Z team without Daniels, an over team with him. They scored 19, give up 26. And we got Philadelphia, an under team. They scored 22 and give up 15. And I would think without A.J. Brown, they're going to run Barkley even more. Meadowlark Lemon's not going to do anything. Rookies, it's hard. This isn't USC playing UCLA. Lemon's from USC. So what you have is Philadelphia's just smoldering defense. So if we look at it, Washington, a 19 offense without Penix and a 26 defense, so they suck. Philly with a 22 offense and a 15 defense. Philly doesn't score. Philly should find it a little easier against Washington to move the ball, and then the defense should win it for Philadelphia. Green Bay, Minnesota. We got Green Bay 1.5, 44.5. We've got, I have Green Bay -3. Green Bay, an even team, scored 23, give up 27. Minnesota, an under team, scored 24, give up 10. And he got Kyler Murray, so they should do better offensively. But look at this defense, a 10. Whew. Green Bay, a 23 offense, 27 defense. Now, what's misleading with Micah Parsons, they're a 20 defense. But without him in the last 5, they didn't have him 27. So it's very simple. Micah Parsons plays their 20 defense. Without him, they suck. Minnesota, very live dog here, is Green Bay's 1.5 point favorites. Love against Kyler Murray. Minnie scores more and only gives up 10. The defense will be the key for Minnie here. Dallas goes to the Giants, and Dallas -1.5, 48.5. I had Dallas as a 3 point favorite. Dallas is an over team. They score 24 and give up 34. No defense. The Giants, an under team, 23 scoring, 21 defense. Dak against Dart. How long will Dart go before he gets a concussion? As you can see, Dallas, no defense, 24 offense, but 34 defense. The Giants at the 23 offense, but a 21 defense. So Dallas, the Giants are a strong home dog here because of their defense. And we will see, but it's too early. We don't know who's playing yet now. And our last game of the day, KC 2.5, 42.5. We got Denver an under team, KC an under team. Denver scores 25, gives up 21. KC scored 12 and give up 19, and these are misleading without Mahomes. The 19 is pretty good, but the 12 with Mahomes is probably 25. Now against Denver, this is totally an under game and a very live dog to Denver. And we'll talk about making this our free play when it gets down to it. Right now, it's too early. But you've got this two strong defense. KC at 19, Denver at 21. But where just as Denver gets a 25 offense, KC's at 12. But that's without Mahomes. Throw Mahomes out. Now Mahomes is now in. You're back to 25. So I say this is 25-19 to 25-21. Be very, very close this game. Probably an under because it's the first week is how I would view it. So I get my ring. No, I don't even get a ring here. The ring goes to Seattle. If I got KC Denver, I'm delusional now with my head. The best defense, Spagnuolo, KC a 19, and Denver a 21. Also, great coaches here. Although I like Sean Payton much better. And that's about it. Knicks against Mahomes. Mahomes has the edge, but Knicks isn't that far off. And 42.5. So that'd be week one of football. So now I highlighted the best defenses and the worst. So the best defense is New England with a 9, Seattle a 17, New Orleans an 18, Baltimore at 21, and Pitt at 21. But those are kind of the high end. Jacksonville a 17, Houston an 18, Buffalo a 19, Minnesota a 10, Philly a 15, San Diego an 18, New York Giants a 21. And San Diego at 18, and the Giants at 21, and then Denver at 21, and KC at 19. So that's kind of what you have here. Those are the teams we want to bet on, are the defensive teams. And by the way, those are the teams that make the playoffs. Those are the teams that win the Super Bowl. Now the weak teams, the Rams 26, but they added Myles Garrett and probably Aaron Donald. Detroit 28. They've had 30s the last few years. That's why you bet against them. They can't stop the wind, and they usually are good over teams. The Jets is a 38, Tennessee at 30, Indy at 30, and Miami at 28. Green Bay is 17, Washington is 16, Arizona at 37, Dallas at 34, and that's it. And that's why you see the upsets. So when you get a team like New England, they're going to upset you. They give up 9 a game. They're going to turn you over. That's when the quarterback has a hard time, is against the 9 defense. Or you watch the Lions struggle. New Orleans with an 18 defense. Okay, they didn't play the hardest competition, but you watch, they'll play a close game with the Lions. You got Jacksonville. I don't know if I believe 17 defense. We'll see. Buffalo with a 19. Houston, I do believe, with an 18. But look at Minnesota with a 10. Philly, I get with the 15. San Diego, I get with an 18. And KC, Denver, and the Jets, 19 and 21. And that's what you look at. Who's got the best defense? Because that's what you're scared of. They're going to shut whoever down. It's going to be hard to score on them. And if they play another defensive team, the bet's under. If they don't, if they play an offensive team, they're a live dog if they're the dog. a Denver, a San Diego, Houston. I shorted. I shorted. I I went under on most of the Houston games last year. The only one I lost was the one they beat Baltimore 44-0 because Baltimore's second string quarterback had about 8 turnovers in the game. But you like betting teams like Houston as a dog. We got them as a dog to Buffalo right away. Buffalo won. Why is Buffalo favored? They got Jim Kelly, so do we care about that? So I mean that's the thing. But but my defense will stop your offense. I got Shazier, I got 5'6", Will Anderson. I'm all over the place. Josh Allen's not going to have any place to throw the ball to. So I'll take that. I'll see that's why is Buffalo favored there. That's a popularity contest, but I don't care about that. What I look at is the meat and potatoes say Houston's a very live dog in this game. They got an 18 defense. Minnesota with a 10 defense, and they're a home dog. They're a 1.5 home dog to Green Bay. I love Minnesota unless it's J.J. McCarthy, then I don't. But if you give him Murray and he plays decent with this killer defense and Jefferson, they should never be a home dog. Philly with the 15 defense, we know all about them. You got to be crazy to bet against them. Philly only laying 6. This is a steal. Philly even. Barkley will run it down their throats. Again, Washington with the terrible defense. So Philly should score, and you're not doing anything on Philly's defense with the 15 defense. So that's what you got. You got San Diego with an 18 defense against Arizona with the 37, and you know why Arizona loses all the time. Or the Jets, or Tennessee. Dallas and the Giants. Dallas with the 34 defense. They're fucked. The Giants with the 21. So they have a pretty good defense. There's the Skedabu. That's it. And then Denver and KC are both you got 2 good defensive teams. KC's 12 isn't real. That's without Mahomes. But Denver's 25. Denver will find a way. This will be a close game, low scoring, and that's where you tease the dog. You don't get scared of Mahomes because Kelsey stinks. And you see, you get KC with Mahomes, and now they got Kenneth Walker. You get a little scared of that, and then you realize Denver's got this 21 defense. That's phenomenal, and Bo Nix can get you points. So, if you are down, this game will be 23-20 or something like that. And your overplays, the Rams, 49ers over, Cincinnati, Tampa over, the Lions, any game they play at. The Lions game's 48.5. And they got a 28 defense against a pretty good defense in New Orleans. Tyler Shaw throw all over the place. Kellen Moore, good coordinator. And Detroit just to stay alive. And they'll score a lot. They'll try to score at New Orleans against New Orleans. Let's see. So Miami with the 28 defense. So if this was like game 6 or 7, I would be all over Oakland. What else? I'm nodding out. Okay. So Arizona with the 37 defense, probably want to bet against them. Dallas with the 34 defense, probably an over team. And this game probably goes over 48. The highest numbers: Baltimore, Indy of 49, Tampa Bay, Cincy of 50. So pardon me with my foot's bothering me, so I took my pills. I'm getting tired. Okay. Gold and silver 50. It's paper. We hold our physical. As I told the guy at the coin shop, well, I got to sell a gold because I ran out of monopoly money. So when you run out of this, but we still need this to pay bills and stuff, go out to eat, go to the grocery store, buy clothes. It's July 4th coming up. I want to go up north. How I like to go to the mall up there, and it's a discount mall, and it's Hilfiger, it's Brooks Brothers, it's my sailboat. So it's those stores. So, and it's good sales, and there's a nice shirt. I don't mind. This is the polo shirt. But I'm not spending 100 on it, and that's what you have. So you have these types of things. So it's just, if I see, I'm pretty good with shorts and bathing suits and socks. I'm pretty good. I don't really need anything. I don't really go saying I need this. I used to. I got my jeans. I got my socks. I got my t-shirts and polo shirts and bathing suits. So I really don't need that. I'm really okay with it. But that's coming up July 4th. So I just need to get some Monopoly money to pay for things because everybody still uses Monopoly money. And until the game's over and we switch what should be a gold back currency, well, we'll switch to whatever bullshit they'll come out with. We'll just ignore it. We'll just hold on to our gold and silver. And now it's convertible to whatever the bullshit money is that is out there, whatever they're using for bullshit. Probably stable coin. All right. So that was football. We've got our baseball. Let's see. Did Mark McGwire come out with anything today? The Macho Man. We got to watch the Macho Man.
Okay, that's a real good question. In 1971, I graduated from high school, and I signed a professional baseball contract with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I had 2 good years with them. And what happened there is that they released me right there. They had the energy crisis going on, and they had a lot of good ball players, and they make a decision on whether or not they feel that you have the potential talent or the talent right at that time for your age category in order to make the big leagues and help them in Busch Stadium. And a bunch of the directors must have got together and they said, the Macho Man ain't doing it right now. I got my pink slip and I was out. And what happened right there is that in my mind, it was a setback because I wanted to be the Major League Baseball player. I wanted to be the biggest star in the big leagues. I wanted to be the number one. I wanted to be the legend of all time. I wanted to be better than Babe Ruth. And all of a sudden, the realization that I wasn't going to be that. Boom. But what I did is I hooked down with the Cincinnati Reds, and I played a year and a half with them, and then went to Chicago White Sox, where I became the first player ever to be ambidextrous in ways that I could switch hit and switch throw. I could hit and throw with both hands. And nobody's done that since Paul Richards back for the old Baltimore Orioles. And that gave me real, lots of write-ups. Macho Man throws with both arms, man, comes in, oh, man, it's real big. In 1975, the spring of 1975, playing with the White Sox, I came in my locker one day, put my uniform on and go out in the field and hit baseballs like I want to do. And my uniform wasn't in my locker. It was not in my locker. And I said, where's my uniform? Where is my uniform? My uniform is not in my locker. And coach came over to me and he said, hey, Randy, no fans in the clubhouse. You're no longer property of the Chicago White Sox. And I said, well, I can't say it on TV, but I was hot. I was real hot. And I decided, man, I said, if I can't play baseball, nobody's not going to play baseball. So I made some threats like I was going to burn down the clubhouse, which they wrote about the next day in the paper. But I didn't do that. I took my bats and busted them against a tree. The realization did not get hurt. See, that's what the people say, man, I got hurt or I was going to get married or something. You know, there's always an excuse. I didn't make it. I made it real far, and I was a real good athlete and a heck of a baseball player, but not to the major leagues. I didn't do it. So I went into professional wrestling. And what I did in professional wrestling is use that same attitude and found out that it was a blessing that they took the uniform out of my locker. And it's great for the history of professional wrestling because it is now known 100% all over the world that the Macho Man Randy Savage is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Hey, that's a real good question. 1970.
Well, I think in baseball, if he would have come out with his robe and Miss Elizabeth to the plate, I think he would have stuck around. Very interesting. So he played a lot of baseball. He always looked like he was in great shape. I mean, he was never fat, and apparently he never got any leg injuries from it. Let's see. I've been watching a lot of these. 1965 Vikings Bears. It's a little well, this is 2 minutes, but normally they're about 20. And you watch and I just watched the Bears and the Lions and the Bears and the Packers, the Lions and the Packers, 65, 66, 67. Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus in 66. Gale Sayers, incredible running back. And let's see. So let's take a look. I want to show this one. This was called He Owns Vegas Now. I've never heard of this guy. I showed you Vegas empty at 8 p.m. It all comes down to not understanding your market and pricing things over what people want to pay. And if you keep marking the New York strips at $20 a pound, nobody's going to buy them because you have no market there. You always, here's your market, here's your New York strips, here's your Vegas, here's your blackjack, here's whatever you want to call it. You always have to hit the market. As I said, there's no market for resort fees. It's down here. There's no market for paying for parking. $20 beers, $35 hamburgers. There's no market for any of that, and it's empty. So this guy is like, you know how there's this, like Caesars doesn't own the hotel anymore. They sold it to this enterprise, and they pay rent to it. And this is the guy that bought it, but he's also now trying to take over Caesars. So he's going to pay himself rent. It makes no sense. But the part that they miss is it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to show up because there's no market for what you're selling in Vegas anymore. The free drinks to gamble, they made a lot of money on that, on you gambling. The parking's free because they want you to come in, and the cheap meals because they want you to eat and go back to gamble. If you think you're getting a bargain, you're going to gamble. You're going to open up your wallet. And this is a lot of what the problem is. They just don't understand that. And now it's kind of deceitful and kind of strange that they're this stupid that all they want to do is have high rollers. Like, how many high rollers do you think are running to Vegas to play $50 blackjack, which is now 3-2 and not 7-6? So 100 paid you 150, now pays you 20 or something. Or you bet 100 like 120 back. Anyway, let's take a look at that. All right, so this is a pretty good video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's 22 minutes. But it's one man. He's an American, but he's like a scumbag. He just, like, if they're in trouble, he buys them. But he's going to be in trouble because he's buying something with no market. It's like buying an Edsel Ford. You're in trouble.
Digestive upset? Open a Fortiflora supplement. Pro Plan. Fuel for life.
Hey, it's me, your skin. I need new CeraVe Invisible Mineral Sunscreen with 3 essential ceramides.
Tillman Fertitta, Houston billionaire, owner of the Houston Rockets and a casino chain called the Golden Nugget. You've probably seen his face on a TV ad somewhere. Now he's quietly building something a lot bigger. In November of 2024, he became the largest shareholder of Wynn Resorts. Nobody talked about it. And right now, as you're watching this, he's in final negotiations to spend $18 billion to buy Caesars Entertainment in full. Read that again. One man, about to own more than 50 casino resorts, including some of the most iconic properties on the Las Vegas Strip. And he already owns a chunk of his only real competition. Here's the part nobody on YouTube is telling you. The deal he's structuring has a clause buried inside that lets him rip Caesars apart the moment he closes, engineered to box out his own landlord. The same landlord that's been quietly bleeding the Strip dry for years. A Houston billionaire on one side, a faceless Wall Street landlord on the other. And the only loser is the Vegas you grew up with. So let's start with what's actually happening right now, because most people watching this video have no idea this deal even exists. The Caesars play. The story actually starts back in March of 2026. Caesars, the Las Vegas Strip, started reviewing multiple takeover proposals. The first was Carl Icahn, the billionaire activist investor who had already been holding Caesars stock and pushing for a sale. He came in at $33 a share. Then the second bidder showed up. Tillman Fertitta, through his private holding company Fertitta Entertainment, came in over the top, $34 a share. $7 billion in equity, $18 billion in total enterprise value. When you factor in the debt that Fertitta would be taking over with the company, Caesars said yes, not officially, but they granted Fertitta a window of exclusivity. That means Caesars stopped negotiating with other bidders and started negotiating only with him. That exclusivity window was originally supposed to end in early April, but on April 20th of 2026, Caesars confirmed they had extended the talks. The two sides are reportedly close. Not just productive conversations close. Actual deal is nearly done close. The closing itself isn't expected until 2027. These deals take time, but the framework is in place. The buyer has been chosen. The price has been agreed to. The deal is happening. And let's talk about what $18 billion actually buys. Because if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you already understand that Caesars Entertainment is not just a single property. It's a portfolio. And that portfolio is staggering. On the Strip alone, you're looking at Caesars Palace itself, the Cromwell, Flamingo, Harrah's, the Link, Paris, Planet Hollywood, the Horseshoe, plus the World Series of Poker brand, plus the Caesars Rewards loyalty program with tens of millions of members. Caesars operates more than 50 properties across North America, plus the online sports betting and online casino business, plus the international properties. This is not a small acquisition. This is one man, through his private holding company, buying one of the two largest casino operators in the entire United States, the other one being MGM Resorts. And here's the thing the financial press is glossing over. The trade publications have covered the deal as a financial event, but the trade press doesn't ask the question that matters to the people who actually visit Las Vegas. What changes for you when one private owner controls 50 casino resorts? When the company you've been paying for hotel rooms, food, drinks, and gaming switches from public to private ownership, when the quarterly accountability disappears, and the only person Tillman Fertitta has to answer to is himself. Those are the questions worth asking. And those are the questions we're going to answer in this video. But before we get to what changes for the average tourist, we need to talk about who is actually about to control all of this. Numbers are one thing. The man writing this check is a different story entirely. And once you understand who he is, you understand exactly what he's planning to do with what he's buying. Meet the man behind it. So who is Tillman Fertitta? He was born in Galveston, Texas in 1957. His father owned a small seafood restaurant on the island. Young Tillman worked there as a kid, peeling shrimp after school. That's the origin story he loves to tell. The blue-collar Galveston kid who built an empire. He went to college briefly, Texas Tech, then the University of Houston. He studied business and hospitality. He never graduated. By his mid-20s, he was running his own construction company. By his late 20s, he had bought into a small restaurant in Katy, Texas, called Landry's. He'd eventually take it over. That's where the empire starts. Over the next 4 decades, Fertitta turned Landry's from one Houston seafood spot into something close to 600 restaurants, hotels, casinos, and entertainment venues across 36 states and more than 15 countries. Rainforest Cafe, Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, Morton's The Steakhouse, Mastro's, Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse, Saltgrass Steakhouse. If you've eaten at one of those restaurants anywhere in America, you've put money in Tillman Fertitta's pocket. In 2005, he made his first move into gaming. He bought the Golden Nugget Las Vegas and the Golden Nugget Laughlin for $325 million. Most people in the industry thought he overpaid. He spent another $100 million renovating it, then another $70 million expanding it, then another $150 million on a new tower. Then he kept going. 2011, he bought the rundown Trump Marina in Atlantic City for $38 million and turned it into the Golden Nugget Atlantic City. 2012, he bought a struggling property in Biloxi, Mississippi for $45 million and rebranded that as a Golden Nugget 2. 2013, he built a $600 million property in Lake Charles, Louisiana. 2023, he bought the Hard Rock in Lake Tahoe and turned that into another Golden Nugget. The pattern is consistent. He buys distressed casinos cheap, he renovates them aggressively. He bolts on his Landry's restaurant brands, so the food and beverage revenue captures everything his gaming customers might spend. And then he scales. By his own admission, those original Las Vegas and Laughlin Golden Nuggets were doing $30 million in profit when he bought them in 2005. Last year, his Golden Nugget properties combined produced over $300 million. He took a $30 million business and turned it into a $300 million business in 20 years. In 2017, he bought the Houston Rockets for $2.2 billion. That was the highest sale price for any NBA team at the time. He still owns the Rockets today. There's one more thing worth knowing about Fertitta before we move on. In May of 2025, he was appointed as the United States ambassador to Italy. He stepped back from his day-to-day CEO roles at Landry's and Golden Nugget when he took the job. But he never gave up ownership of the empire. And Fertitta Entertainment, the holding company he still owns outright, is the entity that's about to spend $18 billion on Caesars. Now you might be wondering, if this guy is so good at running casinos, why is he the bad guy in this video? Why should you care that he's about to own Caesars? It comes down to 2 reasons, and neither of them have anything to do with whether he can renovate a hotel room. The first reason is his operating philosophy in his own words. Fertitta wrote a book in 2019 called Shut Up and Listen. In that book, he lays out the principles he runs his businesses by. He calls them Tillmanisms. 2 of those Tillmanisms matter for what's about to happen to Caesars. The first one is, quote, there are no spare customers.
Bugs hate Raid. One of the most exciting things about Moana is the music.
Spare customers. That sounds like a customer service philosophy. It's actually a monetization philosophy. It means every single body that walks through the door of a Fertitta property is a revenue opportunity that should not be wasted. Every customer gets squeezed for everything they're willing to spend. The second Tillmanism is, quote, remove the word no from your vocabulary. Again, sounds harmless. Sounds like a can-do attitude. In practice, it means his managers are trained to find every opportunity to upsell, every chance to capture additional revenue. The word no closes a door. And in a Fertitta property, no door gets closed. The second reason is the one that should genuinely worry you. And it's the movie made about a year and a half ago that almost nobody connected to what's happening now. He didn't just stumble into this Caesars deal. He's been quietly building up to this for over a year. And what he did in November of 2024 tells you everything about what's coming next. The Wynn move nobody noticed. November of 2024, almost a year and a half ago, the casino industry is going through one of the worst stretches in modern memory. The Las Vegas Strip is bleeding visitors. Hotel occupancy is falling. Room rates are dropping, resort fees are still climbing, and every quarterly earnings call from every major operator on the Strip is starting to sound the same. Apologies for soft numbers, promises that things will turn around, reassurances to investors that the long-term outlook is fine. While all of that is happening, Tillman Fertitta quietly walks into the market and buys a 9.9% stake in Wynn Resorts. Wynn Resorts, the parent company of the Wynn and the Encore at Wynn Las Vegas, two of the most premium properties on the entire Strip. The Wynn brand has always been considered the high-end luxury anchor of the Vegas market, and Tillman Fertitta just became its single largest shareholder. Did the trade press cover it? Sure. There were some headlines Reuters and Bloomberg ran, but it was treated as a financial story. A guy with a lot of money bought a chunk of a casino company. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nobody asked the question that mattered. Why? Why does a man who already owns 7 Golden Nugget casinos, 2 of which are in Las Vegas, suddenly need a 10% stake in his only major luxury competitor on the Strip? Why does he want to be the single largest shareholder of Wynn Resorts? The answer became clearer 5 months later. In April of 2025, Fertitta increased his Wynn stake from 9.9% to 12.3%, almost a quarter more of the company, bought during the same period when the rest of the Vegas market was panicking and downsizing. 12.3% of Wynn Resorts. That's not a passive investment. That's not a side bet. That's a strategic position. That's enough ownership to demand a board seat, enough to influence corporate strategy, enough to be in the room when major decisions get made about how Wynn operates its Vegas properties. And then, less than a year after the second Wynn purchase, Tillman Fertitta makes his move on Caesars. So now let's pull back and look at the full picture. Because once you see the full picture, the Caesars deal stops looking like a single transaction and starts looking like something much bigger. MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, Wynn Resorts. Those are the 3 biggest operators on the Las Vegas Strip. Together, they control the vast majority of the major Strip properties. If one man owns all of Caesars and a major stake in Wynn, that one man has a position in 2 of those 3 biggest operators. The only one he hasn't made a move on yet is MGM. Well, not yet anyway. But here's what should really get your attention. We've covered the price tag and we've covered the consolidation play. There's something else buried inside the contract Tillman Fertitta is structuring with Caesars. A single clause. And once you understand what that clause does, you understand exactly what Fertitta plans to do to Caesars the moment he closes this deal. We're getting there in a minute. Because before we can talk about the clause, you need to understand who the clause is designed to lock out. And to understand that, we need to go back to a story this channel has covered before. The carve-up clause. Some of you watched the deep dive we did on Vici Properties a week or 2 ago, depending on when you're watching this video. If you didn't, here's the 30-second version. Vici Properties is a publicly traded real estate investment trust, more commonly known as a REIT. It got spun off from Caesars Entertainment during the 2017 Caesars bankruptcy. As part of that bankruptcy reorganization, Caesars was split into 2 pieces, an operating company which runs casinos, and a property company, which became Vici and owns the physical real estate underneath those casinos. So when you walk into Caesars Palace, the company that takes your bet at the blackjack table is Caesars Entertainment. But the company that owns the land Caesars Palace is built on, and the building itself, is Vici Properties. Caesars Entertainment pays rent to Vici under long-term triple net leases. Those leases are structured to escalate over time. The longer Caesars operates Caesars Palace, the more rent they have to pay to Vici. And those lease escalators are one of the biggest reasons Caesars has been squeezing tourists harder every year. The rent goes up. So the prices charged to you, the customer, also have to go up. That's the system. That's the trap. Caesars is the tenant. Vici is the landlord. The tourist is the one paying for both of them. Now here's where the Fertitta deal gets interesting. When Tillman Fertitta buys Caesars Entertainment, he is not buying the buildings. He is not buying the land. He is buying the operating company, the tenant, the brand, the licenses, the loyalty program, the staff, the day-to-day business of running the casinos. The buildings stay with Vici, which means under Fertitta ownership, Caesars would still owe Vici rent. The lease agreements transfer with the deal. Fertitta inherits every existing Vici lease the moment he closes. The rent obligations don't go away. They just get a new owner on the tenant side, unless Fertitta can do something to break those lease agreements. Unless he can carve Caesars up and sell off pieces of it, breaking the company into smaller structure. And Carl Icahn during the bidding war for Caesars involved structuring the deal, quote, in a way that would allow the company to be split up without Vici's consent.
If you say you love me, don't go and waste my time. If you want my love.
To be split up without Vici's consent. Read that again. Without Vici's consent. That's the buyer telling the seller, before the deal is even signed, that the goal is to engineer this acquisition so the new owner can chop Caesars into pieces afterward, without having to get permission from the landlord. The lease structure that Caesars and Vici have spent the last 8 years operating under is, in Fertitta's view, a problem to be engineered around. So what does that actually mean for the average tourist? Is this Fertitta playing hero? Is he trying to free Caesars from a bad landlord deal and pass the savings on to the consumer? Of course not. The reason he wants to be able to carve Caesars up without Vici's consent is because how he extracts maximum value from the deal. Sell off pieces, spin out the international properties, spin out the digital business, sell some regional casinos, sell every dollar out of the asset he just bought as fast as possible with as little interference from his land as possible. The reality is simple. Two predators are carving up the same animal. The landlord wants to keep extracting rent. The new owner wants to extract everything else. The thing they're fighting over is Caesars. The animal on the table is the company you and I have been paying for decades. So now you've seen the deal. You've seen the buyer. You've seen the trap built into the structure. Which leaves the only question that actually matters. What does any of this mean the next time you book a Vegas trip? What this means for you. Let's do the math on what one man owning a major slice of the Las Vegas Strip actually looks like. MGM Resorts operates around 9 major properties on the Strip: Bellagio, Aria, the Cosmopolitan, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Excalibur, MGM Grand, New York, Park MGM. Caesars Entertainment operates Caesars Palace, plus the Cromwell, the Flamingo, Harrah's, the Link, Paris, Planet Hollywood, and the Horseshoe. That's 8 major Strip properties. Wynn Resorts operates Wynn Las Vegas and Encore at Wynn. MGM operates close to 10. Caesars operates 8. Wynn operates 2. Together, that's roughly 20 of the major Strip properties controlled by these 3 operators alone. When this Caesars deal closes, Tillman Fertitta owns all 8 Caesars properties and has the largest single shareholder position in Wynn. That puts him in a position of control or significant influence over 10 of those 20 major operating Strip properties. And what does that one man do for a living? He squeezes customers. We've already established that. The Golden Nugget operating model is built around capturing every dollar that walks through the door. Tillmanisms. There are no spare customers. Remove the word no from your vocabulary. Bolt restaurant brands onto casinos so the gaming customer also pays a margin on their dinner and their drinks. Renovate hard. Run lean. Scale relentlessly. That operating philosophy is about to be applied to Caesars Palace. Now think about what that actually means in practice for the average Vegas trip. A Caesars Palace stay today comes with a daily resort fee, probably climbing under Fertitta. Parking fees that Caesars famously brought back to the Strip, almost certainly staying. Food prices already at the top of the Strip range, likely climbing. Drink prices on the casino floor, climbing. The free water that used to come with table play, probably gone. The comp room you used to get for playing a few $100s at the table. Tighter eligibility, higher thresholds. And if you think this only affects properties with the Caesars logo out front, you haven't seen the half of it. The Wynn position matters here too. When you own 12% of Wynn Resorts as the single largest shareholder, you have leverage. You have board influence. You sit in the room when Wynn decides how to price its rooms, how to structure its loyalty program, how to compete against the Caesars properties on the other end of the Strip. What happens when the largest Wynn shareholder is also the sole owner of Wynn's biggest direct competitor? You don't have to be a finance expert to see the conflict. You don't have to be a casino industry insider to understand what that conflict produces. It produces alignment, quiet alignment, the kind that doesn't get announced, the kind that just shows up in the form of less aggressive competition, higher prices across the board, smaller incentives for the consumer. This isn't theoretical. We've seen it play out for years on the Strip already. The major operators decide together to charge resort fees. Boom. Everyone charges resort fees. The major operators decide together to charge for parking. Boom. Everyone charges for parking. The major operators decide together to cut comps for low rollers. Boom. Everyone cuts comps. Now imagine that same coordination problem when one private owner has a position in half of the operators on the Strip. The coordination doesn't need to be a smoke-filled room conspiracy. It just needs to be a single owner who knows what his properties charge, knows what his competitors' properties charge, and has board level influence on both sides. And let's talk about the other thing private ownership changes: disclosure. Caesars Entertainment, as a publicly traded company, has to file quarterly reports. They have to do earnings calls. They have to disclose major operational changes. The financial press covers those filings. Channels like this one cover those earnings calls. Wynn Resorts and MGM Resorts have the same obligations. When Tillman Fertitta buys Caesars and takes it private, all of that goes away. No more quarterly earnings calls. No more SEC filings on operating performance. No more public disclosure of what's happening inside the company. The squeeze that's coming for the average Vegas customer becomes invisible, harder to track, harder to report on, harder for anyone to push back against. There's one more thing worth pointing out about how disconnected this all is from the people footing the bill. Tillman Fertitta is currently serving as the United States ambassador to Italy. He's based in Rome. He stepped back from his day-to-day CEO role to take that job. So the man engineering the $18 billion takeover of Caesars Entertainment is doing it from another continent. He doesn't see the resort fees on the invoice. He doesn't watch the bachelorette parties getting nickel and dime on the casino floor. He's signing off on operating decisions from an embassy in Italy. And that's the consolidation endgame.
Digestive upset? Open a Fortiflora supplement. Pro Plan. Fuel for life.
Welcome to Faux or Faux, the game where only the most natural-looking brows survive.
Casino floor. He's signing off on operating decisions from an embassy in Italy. And that's the consolidation endgame. Less competition, less disclosure, more squeezing one man, pulling the levers from Rome. Which brings us to the only question left for anyone who actually cares about this city. What now? Look, this channel exists because somewhere along the way, Las Vegas stopped being a place that worked for the average American tourist. Resort fees that nobody asked for. Parking fees on a casino floor that's said to be drawing you in. $2 bottles of water turned into $9 bottles of water. Loyalty programs that quietly got harder to earn from. Comp policies that quietly disappeared. And every time we covered one of those changes on this channel, the same comment showed up under the video. Why doesn't anyone fight back? The honest answer is that fighting back is hard when the people doing the squeezing are public companies with thousands of shareholders, layers of management, board structures, and quarterly accountability. There's at least somebody on the other side of the table who has to answer for what gets done to the customer. There's at least some transparency. There's at least an earnings call. Now take that away and replace it with a single private owner running everything from an embassy in Rome. And fighting back becomes 10 times harder because there's nobody on the other side of the table to fight. The only people left in the room are him, his lawyers, his accountants, and his Tillmanisms. So if there's a moment to start paying attention, it's now, right now, before the deal closes, before private ownership swallows up Caesars and the disclosure window slams shut. Here's what you can actually do. Pay attention to the regulatory process, because this deal has to go through Gaming Control Board approvals in every state Caesars operates. There are public comment periods, there are hearings, there are pressure points along the way. People who pay attention can shape the conversation around what this deal actually means. Vote with your wallet right now, before the closing. While Caesars is still a public company with quarterly accountability, if you've been thinking about whether to stay at a Caesars property or a competitor property, pay attention.
All right. Bottom line that I'm bottom lining is it doesn't matter because we're still not going to go there. So he's paying rent to himself, if I understand this. He'll own all the Caesars properties, which except for Caesars Palace, which has gone down. He doesn't really own anything. The Link and the other ones are very small potatoes. He does have the Wynn, but how much control does he have? But as there's nobody going to it, as Vegas is emptying out, as I showed you yesterday, they do get money for the Grand Prix, but who goes? They only want whales there. That's a bunch of crap. Whales eat at Coney Island. I do. We eat barbecue and Chinese. So I really don't get that we only want the rich people there and we want the poor people here. That's a bunch of crap. What the problem is the fucked up odds at poker, at blackjack, at craps, roulette. They added a 000. Blackjack, it's not 6-5. It's not 7-6 anymore. It's 6-5 or 3-2 for blackjack. Whales don't want to they don't want to lose. They'll gamble, but they want to see value. So it all goes back to value. So what this guy's doing, who really gives a fuck? He's going to pay rent to himself. He's going to jack up prices, and nobody's going to go because we don't have to go. We can go somewhere else, right? We can go to Macau. I can go downtown Detroit. You don't have to go to Vegas. It's a nice thing, but you've killed the vacation with the resort fee and the parking. The parking kills everybody coming from California. Probably it's probably nobody anymore. I fly in, so I don't have a car, but you want to hit me on the resort fees and my food. I don't want to pay, $50 for a hamburger, $20 for a beer. What are you, out of your mind? So, not that I drink anyway, but this is the problem. That the fact that he owns it, he's going to lose all his money. This guy will end up broke because he's going to charge himself rent that he won't be able to pay. That's the bottom line. You can't pay the rent because there's nobody gambling. And if you're just relying on whales, they're all going to Macau. They're going to San Diego. They're going to Disney World. They're going to Hawaii. They're not going there. So this is the problem. So what he's doing really makes no sense. He's going to pay himself rent. The whole idea that all the casinos were broke, so they sold their stuff to this one company who is like the landlord now, who owns the land and the buildings. And as I look at it, why would I give up my house? That's my asset, to run it. Now I don't have rent. There's another video I got to find that kind of clean this up a little bit. But basically, you've got rent, but you've lost the asset. That's not a smart thing. You want the asset. That's why you own a house. That's why you own gold. I don't want to rent gold and silver. I want to own gold and silver. And then when it goes up to 10,000, 20,000 an ounce, I win. When you have it in, if I'm renting the gold, I don't win. That's what you do with ETFs. So if we look at it like that, that's why we hold physical. Physical, we own the property. The ETF and the stock, you're renting. That's the beautiful way that we can put it. Do you want to own or rent? We want to own. We want to rent a house because the prices are going to fall. But we want to own gold and silver because they're going to go up in value. We don't want to rent those things. We want to own them. We want to own physical gold. So yes, Pooksy, and I don't know who that. I know him, but I don't know his name. Paper might go, but you're renting that. The physical is what we talk about, and that'll be $1,000 an ounce. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. They can run these little games on COMEX until COMEX is not anymore. COMEX is running. Physical is owning. And so it's as simple as that. We own the gold and silver. We're not renting it. And in the long run, the people having the gold and silver win. The people renting it lose. And again, in the U.S., the monopoly money is worthless. So everybody in it, you're renting it and it's worthless. But if you own the physical gold and the silver, that's where the value is. And in Vegas, having Caesars and the land is where the money's at. So for them to get out of it, and then they keep adding to the rent. So now the guy's going to owe himself all this rent that he won't be able to pay back. How's he going to pay it back? You've kept everybody out. There is no markets for half the stuff you're doing. It's like electric cars. There's no market for it. So what are you doing? I want to see if I can find that other video. It could be this one, empty at 8. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll take a look for it. I love when I watch this one. They're taking it. 400-ounce gold bars are flooding into Hong Kong. Yeah, well, we know that. That's been going on for 5 years. That's why China's got 80,000 tons of gold. Fucking morons. Our money is about to be worth less. Not our money, because our money, we're not running monopoly money. We've got gold and silver, and it will not be worth less. Again, it's down because it's paper, not in the physical world. So that's how I see it. So this guy can pay himself rent all he wants. He's not making any more money because you've chased away the golden goose. The people coming, like now, I would go and spend a week, and I like walking around, and you go into the casino and you sit in the pool and you look at the girls and you have a nice meal or whatever. And I would sit in Mirage and watch the baseball games, and you've killed it. You've killed it all. The Mirage is gone for the guitar. What kind of idiot does that? What was the point? Why didn't you just buy the Mirage? Why would you move the Hard Rock to next to Caesars and have a guitar there? Oh yeah, everybody's going to stop for that. So what they got was the Volcano and the Treasure Island show. Even the Excalibur did something, and all these little shows to bring you in, they've stopped. They've missed the point. It worked. They got away from it, and and you can see the same thing happening in baseball and maybe a little football and basketball, where you can't even watch the games. They're all on these pay channels, and nobody's going to buy all these. I'm not going to buy Amazon and Prime or Apple. Never in my life. Netflix I got for movies. Now they're starting to add football. I'm ready to get rid of it because there's nothing on. Okay, I got it. Spider-Man's on again. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it. And, and all these, they're just old movies, and I'm tired of paying. I did like Money Heist, and even this Berlin I like. Those type of things you can't find anywhere else, but Money Heist was really good. But how many times can I watch that? It's 5 seasons, and, to watch it. So I kind of watched just the key episodes. But even that, okay. But then the month came and there was nothing. And so you're just getting away from that. But as far as I can see, it's all about demand. And if you raise prices at the deli, let's say we go to the barbecue place, and you make the ribs $45 a slab, and you make the chicken $25 for the barbecue chicken dinner, which I pay $15 for. You make it $25. You won't have anybody there. No matter what you do, no matter who's owning it and who's renting it and whatever else, you've killed the goose laying the golden eggs, which is the market, the people who come and eat. And you've killed that. And that's what Vegas has done. They've killed the people that like to go relax and sit in the pool and play $5 blackjack and go have a Coney Island and go have a hot dog at Nathan's and all this stuff. You've killed it. And now you walk in going, well, I'll buy it and I'll pay my rent to myself. Yeah, good luck on that. You still aren't going to have customers. Well, we're just going for whales. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. How stupid is that? What do you mean? That'd be like me selling Teaser King at $1,000 a weekend. Well, I'm just looking for whales, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to make any money. Well, I'll buy it myself, and I'll sell it to myself, and I'll pay myself rent, but I still won't have customers because I'm missing the point. And that's what Vegas is just totally missing the point of what they're doing. I don't care who this guy is. He made money because of the inflation of the value of the dollar going down. That's why there's so many billionaires. And in the 80s, you'd never hear, you'd hear a few millionaires. You never heard billionaires. Well, the reason is the dollar's worth nothing. And so $1 billion buys you what 100 million used to, right? You used to fill up your grocery cart with $20, fill the whole cart. Now it puts 7 to 8 items in for the $20. And that's the problem. The money's fake and it's not worth anything. And so to be a billionaire doesn't mean anything. But what really pisses me off was when people like I like Ray Dalio. Why? Well, he's a billionaire. What did he do? What does he do? I try to listen to him. I can't. He's very long-winded and I don't get anything he says. And just because he's got $1 billion doesn't mean he knows what he's talking about. So it's as simple as that. So anyway, that's what today's class was. I will look for this other one. Oh, here it is, I think. Casino executives on how casinos waste millions. No, I don't think that's it. Anyway, I'll find it. We'll look at this one tomorrow, empty at 8 p.m. That's the point. You don't have a market. So I don't care who's paying rent and who owns the buildings. At the end of the day, you're not getting any cash in because it's empty at 8 o'clock and there's no market for the car to pay for the cars and to pay for the resort fees. This is what I was watching, the 1966 week 1 Bears versus Lions and Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers. Actually, there's Gale Sayers. Week 9. I watched the week 9 one. You can see 20 minutes. It's cool watching Gale Sayers play. This guy says $500 silver, but he's using charts, so I ignore that. The collapse has begun. We know that. The dollar's inflated. The dollar's worthless. So anyway, that's kind of, well, let's see what our gold's doing. Gold 4109, silver it's holding 6158. I think as long as this stays above 4,000 and this stays in the 60s, I think we'll find. I think it'll start jumping up again. This Jones Street bullshit. I think they'll get rid of it, and it's the real value, which is what we focus on, what we own, not what we're renting. This is the rent. The paper's the rent, but we own the physical. And in this world, this is 4109. But I would think the real gold, the physical that we have, it's got to be close to 10,000 by now because it's just getting bought. And as Pat says, in Singapore, it's 7-8 hour lines to go into the store to buy it. That's huge fucking demand. That means the price is much higher. This is paper demand. This is people doing options and this Jones being the middleman and all that. This is bullshit. This is 4 million tons of gold that don't exist. There's only 200,000 tons. So where are you getting the other 4.1 million tons of gold that don't exist? That's why this is fake. That's why we know at the end of the day, when the dollar collapses, which is, I think by the end of the year, I don't know how it lasts much longer. It's worthless. Well, it's the reserve currency. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't make it worth anything. You've printed it and printed and printed it. It's not worth anything. And again, it gets back to the reality. All these countries fail who have gone off the gold standard. Rome, Spain, or Dutch East India Company, France, and England. And then we got Zimbabwe and we had Germany in the 1920s. They had gold, and then they all went for World War I and sold their gold. All of those countries went broke because their dollar went broke. They didn't back the dollar by anything, so it was unbacked, and the dollar collapsed, and it went bankrupt. The countries went bankrupt. A $40 trillion debt means you're fucking bankrupt, right? So that's really what it is. So we sit back, we're on the lifeboat, and you come into the Titanic. Well, it's 4109 for gold. Yeah, the Titanic's coming, and we just really don't have much left. Fuck that. That's bullshit. The Titanic is going to sink, and you need to be in the lifeboat in our scenario. And I'm starting to see more Titanic examples, so people are watching me, although nobody says they're watching me. And it's not will the boat sink, it's when will the boat sink is the questions. And then we see this paper boat, the boat's still fine. That's the paper. It's not real. The real boat is sinking. It's almost like here's a toy Titanic in the water. And look, that's still going. There's the real boat's 80% in the water, and we're in the lifeboat going, oh, that's a shame. And that's really what it is. It's the things you want to hold, the physical, you own it. Just like the casinos, you want to own the land and the building. You don't want to rent it. Now, these people, the reason they did it was they went bankrupt. So Caesars is bankrupt. This is their way out. Well, we'll sell you the building and the land, and we'll pay you rent as a way to get out of the bankruptcy. But every country has gone bankrupt, and these two also will go bankrupt. Bankrupt euro, bankrupt British pound, bankrupt US dollar, bankrupt Canadian dollar. They're all going bankrupt. They'll call it inflation and all that. It's bankruptcy. You owe $40 trillion in debt. You're fucking bankrupt. Is there any other thing that can happen? And again, you don't own the gold and silver. You're not in the lifeboat. You're sitting in the stock market, or you're sitting in money in the bank, or wherever the fuck you got your money. And it's ridiculous. That's bullshit. And you want to own the money, which is what we do with the physical gold and silver. That's why it's frustrating for me. It's 41.10. I want to sell 1 ounce so I can have some, money to spend. But I think pretty soon it won't matter. This will not keep value. And if they think that whatchamacallit, the coins are going to be worth anything, stable coins, they're out of their fucking mind. Again, you're renting. You don't own the coin. There is no coin to own. How stupid do they think we are? Well, we'll have a stable coin. Well, let me see what it looks like. Well, really, you can't see it. It's digital. But it's digital. We're going to use blockchain. What's blockchain? Well, it's a ledger. Oh, well, how is that different than the credit card I use? All a ledger is a track of buying and selling. We see it in accounting, general ledger. Oh, we bought 10 things. We sold 10 things from this account, from this cost center. Oh, okay. All it is a tracking, but it really doesn't mean anything as far as that it's a blockchain. It's a ledger. Well, okay. So it's a summary of purchases. So that's all it is. Oh, you bought something with your Bitcoin or your stable coin. So who cares? It's absolutely a big deal. So I don't know if they come out with stable coin, it's a Ponzi scheme. You are warned. Do not fall for it. Hang on stay in the lifeboat with the gold and silver. Physical gold. You want to own the gold and silver. You want to own the hotel. You don't want to rent it. You do not want to be out of gold and silver. You do not want to be scammed into Bitcoin or stable coin. Bitcoin I saw today was like 61,000. I saw when I went to the club earlier. But it's like a bizarro day. Everything's switched. I teased the bank manager again. So I went to the bank, and what did I do there? I got a check that was $50, right? her a cash app for the 50, but I had to go to the bank for that. So I see the manager. I go, so what's going on? Are we doing stablecoin yet? I'm always kind of playing to find out what's really happening at the bank. And she looks at me like I'm crazy. And we know they're talking stablecoin, but as far as she's concerned, there's there. So I just say, keep buying gold and silver. And that's about all you can do. So you've got to realize that the stable coins, just everything Trump does is a lie, and it's very, very corrupt, the government. So when Trump says we're going to do stable coin, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, it's all bullshit. It's not real. He's just testing it, just like Iran and just like the Russia-Ukraine war. He says something, oh, the Strait of Hormuz is open. No, it's not. Strait of Hormuz is open if you buy in yuan. That's never stopped. But if you're using dollars, you can't use the Strait of Hormuz. And then he'll say, oh, they won't do nuclear weapons. They never wanted to. They're religious people, Iran. They do not want to use nukes. So that'll never happen. So keep that in mind. That's the point. You cannot trust what they say, so do not get scammed into it. It's like Madoff. I watched some Madoff stuff, and people would ask him, well, how do you do this? How are you so successful when nobody else can do it? He says, well, if you got to ask that question, then why don't you take your money out? Or he wouldn't take everybody, and people would be amazed that you couldn't get into his fund. And the reason was he wasn't sure he wanted to scam you. If it's somebody, if it was like Mickey Mantle, he would have probably not taken his money because he knew it was a scam and he wouldn't want to scam Mickey Mantle. You would think, but that's a lot of what it was. He'd decide if he wanted to scam you or not because he knew it was a Ponzi scheme. So you just be very careful. Ask all the questions, get good answers. If you don't get answers, just fuck off. Tell them to fuck off. So I give you good answers with gold and silver. You want to own it. You don't want to rent it. You don't want an ETF. That's a Ponzi scheme. And you certainly don't want stock, because even if you make $100,000, it's you're in toilet paper. You're in monopoly money. So what's the point? Unless your plan is to make 100,000 and sell it and buy gold and silver, then I will allow that. Otherwise, what are you doing? And I know Luke does this all the time. Oh, I'm in minor stocks. How you doing in them now? You're getting killed in them. You got to realize the market is it's supply and demand. It's all fixed. What gets bought, and anybody that says they know, you don't know. And anyway, you've got to understand what you're doing. If you don't understand it, get the fuck out. Just buy gold and silver. There's nothing to understand. I'm buying gold. I'm buying silver. Thank you very much. And I was in the gold store with the earring from Alyssa, and he had 1 ounce. He had a 1 ounce eagle, I believe, and 2 1 ounce bar from Switzerland, and that's all he had. And he's bitching, "Oh, I won't take a Krugerrand," and he has no gold in his shelf. He does have his silver. It was odd. He wouldn't take it. He wouldn't. The earring didn't really, it's 14 karat, but it really didn't show 14 karat. Says, well, I really am not sure. So he didn't want to take it. And Alyssa on the phone says, well, I went to a pawn shop and they gave me $50 for the one. There was 2 of them. So she had one and I had one. And she said, I got $50 at a pawn shop. He says, well, then go there if they're going to give you 50. I went to Tappers as the big shot. This was a necklace I showed Daria from Tappers. Look at this thing. This is gold. That's a beautiful emerald in it. I don't even know how much. That's probably 10,000, 15,000. But that's the high-end jeweler. So I went there and the guy said it's 14 karat and yes, we will give you he said I'll give you 45 for it. I says, well, I know I can get 50 at a pawn shop. So I assume it's worth 70 or 80. And he said, oh, I can give you 50. And I said, okay, because I'm only going to get 50 at the pawn shop, and this way I don't have to go to it. And then, well, actually, Alyssa went to the pawn shop. I was telling you, and then he wanted my fingerprint and firstborn male child and all that stuff. So I gave him my fingerprint and my driver's license. Now it's just a $50 gold thing, so it's not a big deal. But I did, like I said, I didn't like it. But this is high end stuff. And I asked him, well, what do you buy gold coins like Eagles and Cougarans? Yeah, we give 85%. And I says, well, that's not competitive. I can get 98%. Why do you only give 85? Well, we don't really sell gold coins here. We will buy it because it's gold, but we don't really buy gold coins, and we don't buy and sell. We just sell jewelry. In which case I said, okay, that's fair enough. I'll go to Ann Arbor and get 98% on an ounce or two that I want to sell. But the guy for the silver is $2 below. So at $62, he would have bought it for 60. Oh, okay, that's fair. I can live with that. Anyway, so that's what happened today. So again, we were both surprised. My regular guy didn't buy it from us, knowing that the pawn shop paid 50. He couldn't see the 14 karat. Now the other one, the lady's got a the microscope, and I don't know if she couldn't see it either. But when we went to the gold expert, he knew it was 14. He did some tests with it. He took out some watery stuff and he put it on there and he said, oh, that's 14 karat. And it's like 4 grams or something. So it was, came out to $45. They rip you off when they buy it back. That's why it's like, we're not going to sell much. But at the time we're ready to sell our silver or our gold, and we're not going to sell a lot. We might sell an ounce or two. We're going to be over spot, because at that time you'll need inventory. And people don't understand. They see the $5,000 and it's gone down to 4,100 and everybody thinks, oh, gold's done. They don't understand paper versus physical. In our physical universe that we live in, the price hasn't dropped a penny. Nobody's selling. They don't have it to buy in your new portfolio 60-20-20. That means there's supposed to be 20% gold, 20% bonds, 60% stocks. Where are they getting the 20% gold? Because it doesn't exist. There is not enough physical gold to do that. At some point, everybody's going to want physical. And as these dollars start collapsing, Europe is collapsing because they keep giving Zelensky money. Britain has collapsed. Well, so forget the US dollar. It's the reserve currency bullshit. Canada's broke, as is the Britain and the whole fucking euro, right? Germany and Italy and France and Spain and Portugal and whoever else uses the euro over there, Amsterdam, our favorite country, they're all going to run into gold and silver. See, it's going to explode. That's when they're going to need the gold, and they're going to need physical gold. COMEX is just this paper bullshit price setting mechanism, which people are getting tired of. And as more people get physical, they don't want to look at COMEX. They don't want to see the bullshit. So anyway, that's really what you need to understand. Have the physical and own it. You don't want to pay rent to it. So I always can correlate anything I'm watching with our gold. And so you correlate, you keep it, and that's what you have. And you have the physical, and you're fine. Nobody's selling physical gold. And as Pat says there's 8-hour waits in Singapore trying to buy it they have like 100 gold stores. Like there's a whole gold section. I don't know if it's 100, maybe 50, and there's lines, people wanting gold. So what does that tell you? And this is in Singapore, probably Hong Kong too. But China is buying all the gold, and they're letting COMEX keep the price low. That's a little Ponzi scheme going on here, where you keep the price low so we can buy it because everybody's stupid enough to sell it at this price, at this paper price, except for us. We don't want to sell it at this price. We want to keep buying it at this price because it's a joke. And that's what you have. So with that, I will leave you. Again, your free pick today is the Cubbies over 8.5. Kind of a hard board today. I was going to take Boston, and I scratched it. So, of course, Boston will probably win. But not the good pitching days. There's no Mizorowski or Scanes or Chris Sale, or a lot of these guys aren't. Sanchez for Philly. None of the Philly aces and none of the Milwaukee aces are going. So it makes it harder. And this is why I have like the Cubs over 8 with the Mets, is because I can't really decide on the pitcher. Both pitchers are pretty bad. Probably will be a high scoring game, but it could be 2-0 because both 5.0 pitchers throw shutouts because the hitting's so bad. So I think that's part of it. As the players get tired of playing every day, their batting averages fall, and it's harder to get up and hit every day. So that's what you really got to be careful with. And with that, I will leave you. So our last look at gold, just because we can. We got 41.11, so it's staying there, and then 61.56. So it's not. Why is it down 389? And that's really the question. If you listen to the news, it's all bullshit. If we look at reality, there is no answer for why it's down, because it's not a market. Nobody is selling gold or silver. Nobody's selling any, I'll sell an ounce for this, but that's, or a couple ounces of silver. That's it. That's it. That's fantasy. There's nothing. Nobody's selling their gold and silver. It's certainly not causing the price to drop, right? There's no demand. Well, I told you, Hong Kong, there's huge demand. All right. Well, have a good day. I hope you enjoyed that Vegas story. A little bit long-winded. And there's actually another piece I wanted to show you where it's the same thing. They're charging you for items there's no market for. And it will collapse, and people will just get tired and say, I'm not going to go there. You don't have to go to Vegas for vacation. You could go to San Diego, or you could go to Disney World in Florida, or something in Texas, or Hawaii, or Aruba, or the Caribbean, or go to Amsterdam, go to Germany. I mean, there's places to go, so you don't need to go to Vegas. And you can gamble everywhere. I know in Amsterdam there's a big casino, and there's now. I mean, I can go downtown Detroit. There's a casino. There's MGM. So, anyway, have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Baseball, $25 for a week. What you waiting for? We saw the Macho Man. He played a lot of. I didn't know I thought he was a minor leaguer that never made the majors. He actually played a lot. And he said, "Oh yeah." And he needed the Slim Jim. That's probably why he didn't stay up there. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I should be on normal time tomorrow, and we will go from there. All right. Take care. Have a great day, everybody.